welcome to the 5th installment of our Canton Chamber University series that we're lovingly calling Canton Business Building Bridges. It's sponsored by the Canton Chamber of Commerce on the Canton University platform, and we're proud to be partnering with Canton Township and the Interfaith Leadership Council to bring you this series. I'm Pamela Bacho, and I'm the Membership and Community Engagement Director with the Canton Chamber of Commerce, and I'm honored to be your moderator for these sessions. The purpose of this series is to unite the business sector with the diverse citizen population in Canton Township. You may ask why this is important. Well, we believe that all citizens and employees deserve to be seen and equally respected no matter their religious beliefs, national heritage, skin color, or native language. This relates to opportunities for shopping, housing, and religious observation time, plus much more. We also believe that businesses may be missing opportunities to provide goods and services to community residents because they do not fully understand the buying habits of the diverse groups around holy days and celebrations. We also believe that businesses should be encouraged to welcome visitors by acknowledging their holidays and also to accommodate employee needs to worship and celebrate during these times. It's our goal that both businesses and individuals will benefit from the mutual education provided by this series. Today, our panel discussion will focus on the Asian and Pacific Island Americans, as well as the Christian communities. Representing both groups are engaged and involved individuals with diverse backgrounds and experiences. We will allow them to discuss their individual group holy days, celebrations, and observations, as well as to talk about their personal experiences when living, doing business, and working in Canton. Next, we'll ask them questions to bring more understanding to the subjects. Following that, we'll open the floor for questions from the audience. So if you have a question for the panel or a comment about your experience, please come to the microphone at the front of the room when we open the time for questions. We're happy to share this series is being filmed and aired by the Canton Cable team and will be preserved on the Canton Chamber website for viewing at a later date. Now I would like the two panel groups to introduce themselves and their citizen group. What I'm going to do, we have everyone kind of mixed up here right now, so I'm just going to start from left and go to right and let people introduce themselves, and they can say, you know, whether they're Christian, Asian, Pacific Island American, both, whatever they feel is best, and tell us a little bit about you and your relationship to the Canton community. We're going to start with Christopher Babb.
As I was introduced, my name is Christopher Babb. I was raised in Canton. I've been recently moved back to the Metro Detroit area, and I'm starting a new church here. I'm part of the Christian community, starting Creekside Church. Our first service will be launching September 22nd. We're in the hunt for a location, so I can't give you those details yet, but you know, very, very involved. We're doing our best to just reach out to the community, and we have several events planned up for the near future over the summer. We plan on helping as best we can with Liberty Fest, which is going on this weekend, just providing some opportunities there. And we just want the community to know that we love them and are willing to bless them in any way that we can.
Hello, my name is Martina Chap. I am a longtime Canton resident here. I started living in Canton in an apartment on Cherry Hill in Lotz. Really love Canton. Bought my first house here in Canton, Canton Center Road, just down the street. Lived there for a couple of years. Moved out to Royal Oak. Lived there for 2 years, came back and bought another house in Canton. So I'm a landlord here in Canton, and I recently opened a business here, a medical spa called Skin of Accio. And really love the Canton community. I love the diversity that it has. Really happy to be here, to be back. Feels like home.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erica. I'm a member of the Asian and Pacific Islander community and the Christian community. I don't live in Canton, but I live really close to Canton, and I'm here almost every day with my kids to go to the summit or the parks in the area or to participate in the programs for kids that the city has.
I'm Barbara Farrell. I've been time member of the community. I'm a representative of St. Thomas a Becket Church, a Christian church, and but I do a lot of shopping in Canton, and I have long time admired Canton and just the way they run their sports program and their the summit, and I think the township has a lot to offer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Well, we're happy to have you here. Take a deep breath. This isn't going to be a grueling adventure. It's going to be fun and insightful, and we've gotten great feedback from the previous 4 events that we've held, and people have really learned a lot. So thank you for putting yourself out here and speaking on behalf of your experiences. So I'm just going to kind of let people, kind of go down the line for right now and tell us a little bit about what special holidays or values influence your needs as a customer. If you don't necessarily live in Canton, but you work in Canton or an employer in Canton, what things could you do to look at welcoming people to your business? So I'll let you start, Christopher.
All right. I'll just start with some of the values that we really are really big on, especially in my church and the community that I'm surrounded with. We're big on family values. We're a conservative group of individuals, and so we really prioritize the basic nuclear family, and so we things such as modest swimwear. That's hard for some of my, I have 3 daughters, and that's hard for some of those people to find. So just as a general, idea, anytime there's a family event, anytime there's things geared towards family and family gatherings and some of those traditional conservative values, those are things that we love to go to, that we just cherish, that if you're looking to drive up some business, those are ways to get some people like at least my church members out into the community. And like I said, we're a new church. We're small, but we're very, very close and tight knit. And so we all are pretty similar in the things that we look forward to and the things that we value. So things like Liberty Fest, a great family event, as I mentioned before. We love those type of things. Anytime there's different Christmas events. Obviously, Christmas is a very big holiday for the Christian faith, as well as Easter. And don't be afraid to talk about what we believe in Easter as well. I know it's fun. The bunny is great, and we love the Easter bunny. We love the candy and the holiday. But to talk about the empty tomb, talk about even Good Friday, those are things that we would appreciate, even just a mention of, to be honest with you.
Christopher, with your particular faith and practice, I guess, is
Sure.
more what it is. Is there anything in particular that you wish you could find in the Canton community to help observe those days, or do we cover that fairly well?
What do you mean by find?
Are you looking for any particular type of decoration, food items, clothing, anything like that?
Not anything specific. I do think that in my research, Canton has a pretty strong Christian representation, and I feel very well cared for. Especially when it comes to Christmas and major holidays and things like that. We're talking about consumer. As a consumer, we, more prime rib around Christmas time would be great. It's hard to come by sometimes, but other than that, no,
Okay.
we do feel well cared for in that area. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Martina, when you address us, would you let me know where your family's from traditionally? Because you're kind of representing both groups as well.
Yeah, so I was born in Indonesia, and in Indonesia there's 2 type of major ethnic groups: the Chinese Indonesian and then the native Indonesians. Now, the native Indonesians are typically Muslim religion-wise. I'm the other side. I'm the minority in Indonesia. I'm Chinese Indonesia. I'm Catholic myself, but I also do celebrate a variety of Chinese traditions, such as the big one for us would be Chinese New Year. Love Chinese New Year. From the religion perspective, in Chinese, we would build a shrine just from folding table. We cover that up with specific tablecloth. We don't have that here. Unfortunately, that would be something I would love to be able. But in the meantime, until that comes, I use just simple red cloth that I get from Joann Fabric or something. You know, I have that laid out, and then have a place for incense, and then 12 tea, like small teacups, and then we have the sweets and the desserts, and then there's 3 different varieties of fruits. 3 different varieties of fruits, and then 3 different varieties of the meals, like chicken, beef, land and sea, and fish. You know, we do something like that. Chinese New Year's great. We hand out red envelopes that has money to the youth, to people that are younger than you. So my son always gets that from everybody. That's awesome. Families and extended families are also a big values for us. I know in Indonesia, we live in one big house. We live with my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, and maternal aunts and uncles in one house. Or we split them up in 2 separate houses. My grandparents had 2 houses across from each other, and we would just go back and forth. One day I sleep with my cousins, with her, and then she comes over, and we would go back and forth nonstop. So that's, the extended family is also big. And I'm seeing a lot of that in my community at the fairways, that a lot of the Indian communities are also doing the same kind of things. There's like one house with a lot of cars. So that's as far as Chinese holidays. Chinese New Year's is a big one, and then sometime in the summer or fall, around September, there is the Harvest Moon Festival. It's the same thing that we have built a shrine with the same tablecloth, except we have slightly different specific desserts that we put on the table as part of the offerings to the ancestors. We pray to the ancestors, and then we pray to the gods and goddesses of what we believe in. So those are some of the 2 major Chinese holidays that I also celebrate.
Wonderful. Thank you. I didn't know a lot of that. Erica, I'll let you follow Martina kind of with the same train of thought. Traditionally or heritage-wise, where are you from, and how you celebrate here?
Okay. My dad is from Japan. Both of my parents are immigrants to the United States, but I was born and raised here. So in some ways, I feel like the way I celebrate traditions or the culture that I have is one step removed from maybe what my parents celebrated and the way they did things. But 2 holidays that I celebrate it's called Girls' Day, and then there's a different holiday for Boys' Day. And the way I'm practicing it in my family is probably different than how they're practicing in Japan, but I try to incorporate like Japanese foods and treats into my home to celebrate boys and girls on those respective holidays.
Do you find that you have resources in Canton to purchase those specific things for Boys and Girls Days as far as those foods?
Yeah, I think that if I had gone to, there's like August Asian market or something in Canton. I think that's the only Asian market in Canton. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's not, I don't feel like it has everything, but I can go into Ann Arbor, I can go up to Novi. Novi has a lot of Japanese food resources there. I remember this spring for Girls' Day, I couldn't find mochiko flour, and that was a little bit frustrating. I was trying to go to traditional, like I was going to Walmart, and then I tried Kroger, so I probably should have checked the Asian market, but I didn't, and I didn't have it for Girls' Day. And it's fine, we made do, but that was one food item that I was missing.
What do you use mochiko flour to make?
To make mochi.
Oh, mochi. Got it.
Yeah, I think maybe it's called rice flour, too. I am not sure. That might be another name for it, but mochiko flour.
Wonderful. And you're raising your daughter here as well? Do you have another child?
I have 2 daughters, yeah.
Okay. So you have a big Girls' Day celebration then?
Yeah, we don't do Boys' Day so much because there's just one boy in my family. But.
Does he feel left out?
No, he's okay. I mean, we still celebrate. It's just not as big because, I don't know.
Okay.
We don't have little boys.
Wonderful. Barbara?
So I'm from St. Thomas of Becket, as I said, and one of the things that I admire about the Plymouth community is the diversity. I think we are very fortunate to have so many different cultures and religions and people from different backgrounds represented, and we have so much opportunity to bridge some gaps because people don't get along when they are isolated. But when they can live near one another or have somebody in their family or someone next door, suddenly barriers break down and it just makes for better living all around. I am on the Peace and Justice Committee at St. Thomas of Becket, and this year and next year we're working on the aim of call to family, community, and participation. And we're trying to get together all the resources that are available for people of all ages, nationalities, lifestyles, and be able to support them in what they may be looking for in their lives, not just religiously. And so one of the things we have is a prayer garden at St. Thomas of Becket, and it is open to the community regardless of your background. It's just a place to come and sit and get some peace, and it's big enough that kids can run around and nothing is going to be destroyed. And so we, in our way, are trying to bridge the gap between peoples. A couple of the things that we do is we've been part of what is called Culture and Cuisine, which I don't know if some of you may be familiar with, that helps bring people together. And I know that some places are sponsoring international dinners where foods of different kinds are offered to people where they can, become more familiar with other people's backgrounds. And I know for myself that when I go shopping for ingredients for, an unusual recipe, that it's sometimes hard to find because some stores, which will remain nameless, are cutting back on their more unusual things and focusing just on what sells. And so I think it would be interesting to have more things that were available, stores or even, a place where there were cooking lessons of different ethnicities where that food could be developed. I think that would be very interesting. That's it.
Well, Barbara, what denomination is St. Thomas of Becket?
It's a Catholic church.
Okay.
And so we celebrate the standard Christian holy days.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it sounds like so far what we need in Canton is an international food market where you can go to one place and shop for any different food resource that you might need. I'll have to bring that up to the township supervisor.
I have something I'd like to add to
Sure.
Barbara, right? So as a consumer, right, one of the things that I really like, and this just happened recently this year, when we were moving here, I went to Somerset. It's around January, so right around Chinese New Year. I walked in Somerset, and then the first store I saw on the left was, I think it was La Sur-La table. They had the whole table display all in the Chinese setup. They have the red lantern. They had all, because this year is a dragon year. They had the whole setup. I did not plan to buy anything. I ended up bought the whole setup, just because I'm like, oh my God, we are represented today. And it was, even my son was like texting to my mom, Mom was so happy because we are represented today. Now, this apparently more common in the East Coast, not in the West Coast, like California, San Francisco, but seeing it here at Somerset, it was really, so with that, in my med spa, when it was the Muslim holiday, we decorated our front desk with decorations. So people that came, they were like, oh, this is really nice. I think that was, having that. And then I was making notes here, cooking lessons, prayers, garden forever. I think that's really good to welcome and to bridge that, gap. Because when you think about med spa, people automatically think European, because it kind of is, coming from the European. But we get, we open since March 11, but we get Muslims from Dearborn, we get Indian people, we get Asian people, Asian people. So that's how I, started with, let's decorate for the Muslim holiday. So we went to Dearborn to buy a bunch of stuff because we don't have it here.
That's a great entree into the next part of the topic. No, it's perfect. It's actually perfect.
Could I add to that
Sure.
first? I mean, as I had mentioned before, I grew up in Canton, and so, I feel very welcome. I feel very well represented here. It's my hometown, right? We want this place to be the hometown of other people. Like we mentioned, we're a very diverse community, incredibly diverse. I think you actually told me that we're the most diverse township in the state of Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if we need to.
The most diverse municipality.
Okay. So, we want everybody that's represented in our community to feel the same, I think, the same level of being welcomed that I do as someone who is from here, So we want some of those things because part of the reason that it drew me back was because of the diversity of Canton. I mean, I went to high school here, graduated from Salem High School, moved down to Louisville, Kentucky, went to school there, graduated, moved back home in 2017, into the area, and now I'm coming back to Canton because of the diversity. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, the next part of it, you both kind of touched on, everyone kind of touched on a little bit, but what makes you feel welcome as a customer in the community? Erica, do you have anything? I mean, is there something in particular that makes you feel welcome when you go into a business? Whether it's one that you frequent all the time or maybe something new?
Sure. I think it's when I feel like my experience is acknowledged and my different, kind of what was already said, like if it's Christmas time and I see a little display of the nativity, that might make me feel like seen a little bit, like, oh, they are acknowledging something that's important to me. But maybe even bigger, at least in shopping experiences, when there's like feminine hygiene products in the bathroom, that makes me feel really seen as a woman. Or when the shopping cart is big enough for both of my kids, that makes me feel seen. Or when there's the sanitation wipes, just those little things that think about my experience is meaningful to me. But I think even things like having signs that have different languages, I know can be really meaningful. For my dad, who moved here when he was 18, he could speak English pretty good, but reading was difficult. And I think just little things like having his language maybe on a sign would have been really helpful.
Wonderful. Barbara, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think people like to be seen and acknowledged. And even if you go through many stores, you wander, you get your things, you may not interact with any salespeople, but when you go to check out, if people just looked you in the eye, instead of just looking at your stuff, but looked you in the eye and just to be acknowledged, I think that is a very welcoming thing to do.
That's wonderful. So, go ahead.
I wanted to add to that too about salesperson. I would personally walk out if the salesperson does not recognize me. It doesn't matter how often I'd go to that shop. If the person I walked in and they just kind of like don't see me, forget you. I'm going back out.
So something that's been brought up before is similar to what Erica mentioned, but just have a sign on the front door that says welcome or happy whatever holiday it is. If you have the availability of translating it, Google Translate can do just about anything nowadays, and we know that AI is going to never take over the world, but it can become a very powerful tool. Use that technology and welcome everyone, but specifically around different holidays or times of the year, that might be something that would be easy to do. As an employee, whether here in Canton or somewhere else, have you ever experienced a time when you wished you would have had time off to celebrate your particular holidays rather than the traditional holidays that the employer offered? Never had that? Okay. Well, this particular group doesn't seem to have that, but recently one of our discussions was with the Muslim faith, and it was Ramadan. And during Ramadan, people fast, they choose to fast from sunup to sundown. So an employer that requires an employee to take a 1-hour lunch in the middle of the day, that's probably not going to be very beneficial to that employee. However, people of the Muslim faith are also required to pray numerous times during the day. So if the employer were open to some flexibility and would allow that employee maybe 3 15-minute breaks at the times when they need to pray, then I believe that that would make that employee feel seen, welcomed, and respected. So we're trying to get this word out to lots of employers. This is not just for the community members, but it's also for the businesses so that we can all learn together. Does anyone work here in Canton? And if so, have you seen challenges as an employee for any other reason?
Yeah, I've actually recently, I know growing up in Indonesia, I know living next to a mosque, I have had a lot of Muslim friends. They're not allowed to touch or be involved with pork or alcohol, things like that. I actually went to a grocery store recently, and my cashier was a Muslim because you recognize the outfits, and I was asking her if she want me to ring up the pork's meat, and she said no, she could do it, and because she doesn't get so I thought that was a challenge for her, and then she thanked me for recognizing it. So, but
Nice.
I've seen that in Canton, unfortunately,
Okay.
and alcohol too, because she's not allowed to do alcohol.
Okay. Well, that's nice that you recognize that and took that step to make her feel more seen.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. Chris?
To answer your question previously about the holidays, Good Friday is very important to the Christian faith. For us, that's the day that we recognize as Jesus' death. Oftentimes, there's church services on Good Friday. There's religious celebrations of that nature. And so a lot of people don't get that day off. Teachers don't anymore. I think spring break is now the week after Easter, as opposed, I may be incorrect. It varies. It depends on the district, So, that's just something to keep in mind for those who practice Christianity, that the Friday before Easter it is an important day to us. It is, yeah.
Ash Wednesday also a challenge.
Yes,
Ash
yes.
Wednesday, but I've been lucky with the I'm employed by federal government, so they kind of let me do it. I'm just gonna go. But Ash Wednesday
Anything
is a
for you
tough
too,
one,
Ted?
too.
Well, one of the things that I have seen as an employee and having spoken with a number of friends, there are many companies who are going to a much less structured program for time off. You'll have a certain number of PTO, personal time off days or hours for you to use as you see fit. And I think that's going to help integrate other communities into, Canton or wherever they happen to work, because then they can choose those days that they would prefer to have off. So I think that's a step in the right direction. So tell me a little bit about living in Canton or experiencing things in Canton other than just shopping, when you dine in a restaurant, when you go to an event, how do you seek out things that are different? Do you gravitate toward things that you're comfortable with? And if so, for either one of those, why would that possibly be?
I like both. I sometimes like things I'm comfortable with, but new adventures are always very welcome. Sometimes I feel that I don't know about them. There are things going on. It's not that there aren't things, but that I have to find a way to be more in touch with them. And I don't know if that's true of other people as well.
So communication on a broader scope regarding some of the different things that are happening with the different communities.
Like even cultural things, musical things, anything that is that is going on in the community, I think would be interesting. And we have to realize that there are many members in our community that don't have, believe it or not, access to a computer. And so they are really handicapped as far as, well, just look it up. Well, they can't. And trying to go from zero to where computers are today is, pretty difficult for a lot of people. So I think libraries are a very good source of places where information could be or could be accessed. And I'm not sure how more people can find out about things going on in the community, but I think there is a little bit of a lack there.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, I think same. Of course, it's comforting when I see people who are doing things or who experience things in a similar way to me, but I think one of the things that makes Canton so great is that there are so many people who have different experiences and different cultures and things that are important to them. One thing that I appreciated last year, I had recently moved to the area, and then we went to Liberty Fest as a family, and there's different booths, and there was a booth where I could learn more about the Islamic faith, which I hadn't been exposed to a lot growing up, and I thought that was a really wonderful way for me to learn more about people in the community and things that are important to them.
Your daughter's amazing. She's so fearless. That's great. Well, I wanted to, kind of take this in a little bit different lane, but also keep up with the feeling of community and the involvement. Whether you are over 40 or under 40, can you talk to me a little bit about how your experience might be different from someone else in your family who might be older or younger? I know, Erica, you mentioned your father could speak English very well, but he had a difficult time reading it. Are there other things that you've seen that you as a younger person can embrace easier, or maybe he can embrace easier? That doesn't have to just be about Canton, but just people in general.
Like, in regards to a certain kind of experience, or just?
And anything that comes to your mind about how for you something might be easily understood or easily adapted, but maybe your parents don't adapt it easier. Maybe you're received differently than your parents are in certain gatherings and different things.
Yeah, I think with that, just like the ways that we interact can be different. And so for my dad, he can come across kind of a certain way because he's not native here that maybe I wouldn't get. But I've also seen it, my mom is white and I'm not. And I feel like I've seen differences in the ways that we're, I don't want to say treated, but it does sometimes feel different. And I mean, we're together, so sometimes I wonder, like, is it because I'm Asian or maybe not? But I do think that there's a difference. It's difficult for me to articulate maybe exactly what that is. I think so much of it is unspoken and it's subtle, and so it's hard to pick up exactly what those differences might be. But I wonder if at the root of it, it's just misunderstanding of people and maybe in some ways, like, imagining people to be a certain way than maybe they are or are not.
So maybe stereotypically we would think someone would respond this way but that's not really how it is.
Right, or maybe you think that they mean it a certain way, but really that's just the way that they speak, and they're not trying to be rude. That's just, the way that they intonate their words or whatever. But I think it's just a misunderstanding.
Again, back to communication.
Right. It can be tricky.
Barbara, anything for you?
Another communication thing, and I've heard this from several people kind of in my age bracket, that many times they interact with people, young people, and find that their speech pattern is so fast. And the older generation tends to over-enunciate maybe, but sometimes we hear people talking to us and we don't know what they're saying and have to ask them to repeat, regardless of whether or not we can hear them. First of all, the speech is faster, the voice is lower, and then there's the use of a lot of slang words that older people are maybe not familiar with. I don't know what we do about that, but it's just there. We can laugh about it, right?
Maybe it's just looking at that person and saying, could I ask a favor? Would you repeat what you just said a little bit slower? Because I heard everything, but it kind of all ran together. I do that with my 13-year-old grandson all the time, all the time.
I have something with my mom. So my mom came here when she was in her 50s. So one of the things that I saw with her, just walking down the street, I don't know if it was in Canton, probably not so much in Canton, but when she couldn't understand something, she would ask, what, or excuse me, but instead of repeating what this person says, this other person would just raise their voices. But you know what I'm saying? She needed to be repeated slower, not
Louder.
Not louder, because when it's louder, it appears like my mom was getting yelled at, So those are some of the things that I noticed right off the bat. Me being educated here in the United States, so, I still struggle from time to time, but my mom struggles way more, and that kind of thing happens to her, when she asked for clarifications, she got it louder, not, not slower. But I think I'll use what you say. Can you do me a favor if you could just repeat it slow?
Christopher? You're contemplating something.
Really, I'm just trying best to think of how to even answer that question. Not mostly because there's not much of a difference, I would say, between how, let's say, my father, who lives in Canton, and I communicate or interact or anything like that. He works at a hospital in Commerce Township. So he's with people all the time. He's just like me, not necessarily from Canton. He grew up in Garden City, but so we're pretty used to the culture here and can communicate well. So there's not to us, at least.
So what about the younger people in your congregation? How do you react and interact with them that gets you on their level, raises them to your level?
You said under 40, so I'm under 40.
I know. That's fine. Well, I think I could flip this and give you something to talk about.
Yeah. It is technology. That's how they communicate. Really, it is. In my prior pastoral position, I was a youth pastor. And that was a big way to communicate with them. You got to speak their language, And they hate it when you use their slang. Don't try doing that. Don't do that. But what you can do is just, speak to them maturely, like they're equals. They appreciate that. They want to hear that. And it's the same way with any intergenerational communication. You want to be treated, I want to be treated like a human, by people who are older than me, and the people younger than me want that same level of respect. So
that's a great word, respect.
Yeah.
So I think above all, that's the way that communication needs to happen. And yeah, there's going to be some things that where people are a little ignorant, and they may raise their voice because they think that that's what your mother needed or whatever. you know, and there'll be some patience that's needed in those situations. But you know, we're all learning, and we're all trying to do our best, I think. But yes, respect is definitely important.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the end of my formal questions. Did any of you have anything else you feel inclined to share about our community, about your experiences in the community? Anything that you see other than, international food availability and some decorations for holidays that the Canton Township administration or leadership could really investigate and consider adding to what we offer in our community? That was a lot to kind of throw on your lap right now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
The one thing I can think of is, and this year especially, I think will be fraught with a lot of static in the air because it's an election year. And I personally don't like when I go into a public place, well, it's not public, but like even a hotel or a bar, and the televisions have on news that is definitely takes a position.
okay. I'm not sure how the township could change that.
Oh, but
But-
it is a
is
business thing,
something,
you know?
right.
It's something that if that's happening, it does not make me always feel welcome. If they take either one side or another, it doesn't matter. I think we have to be, sports is good, you know? Even if it is not the home team, that's fine. It's just in the news department.
So as the Canton Chamber, we might be able to address that with some of our businesses. So let me see what I can do about that.
So for us, we put background, like pretty pictures for the spa. Hawaii always works.
Yes, yes.
Were there any questions or comments from the gallery? Yes. If you could, please, yes. Yep. Oh, no, this one right here. Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know if you didn't know, this group had worked for about a year together through building bridges. And Rachel over here, she's hi, Rachel. She's actually helped start that and bring this together. And we decided, well, how do we do this? How do we do this? And I think there's a great tie-in with the chamber. So thank you for participating. But in terms, I just want to let you know this, though. And in terms of communication, we have a focus in Canton that goes to every single household and every single business in Canton. I know a lot of people have always said, oh, why don't you stop this? Because it's, go to electronics, it's wasting paper. But because of what you were talking about, not everybody is on the internet, not everybody's on, their computers or their phones or anything. So we keep doing that. But if you have suggestions in terms of what you'd like to see in the focus, let us know. Because, of course, so many things are happening, and it's hard to cover everything in that little newspaper. And we always usually, lead you to a phone number or something where you can call to ask. So always feel free to call and ask about things that are happening also. And we have them at the library in the front door, or just go into the summit too, because they have like a television screen that kind of runs all the information. But I appreciate it. And I think some of the common themes that we've heard are basically, if for certain holidays or religious things, just saying welcome, welcome, happy Good Friday, happy Easter, happy, Ramadan, happy, it's Chinese New Year, things like that. I mean, it's important that people see that, and that's how they feel welcome. So I really appreciate that. I like hearing that. I don't know if you know, in April here, the Sikh community came and they asked, it was Sikh Awareness Month, and they asked if they could set up a Sikh. So we had a little Sikh tables and what is Sikhism and things like that. So if you have things like that, we could do different months for different groups. That's always welcome also, because we want everybody to share in knowing about everyone.
Would you introduce yourself, please, just in case someone watching in the future doesn't?
Sorry. My name's Anne Marie Graham-Hudak, Canton Township Supervisor. So please let us know, and look at the focus and let us know if there's anything you want to see in it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had one small thing to add really quick that came to mind. Something small that really makes me feel seen as an Asian American woman is representation in like ads and stuff. Like when there's just an Asian woman there, I really feel like, oh, there's a place for me here, or they want my business, and it's meaningful to me.
It's wonderful. Thank you. That's personal, and that's great. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, I'd like to add.
Sure.
This is not necessarily Asian Pacific, but one of the things that I feel like Canton is a little low is the appreciation for our military member and veterans. I mean, I came from, the area in Maryland that has a lot of military presence. I know in here it's not a whole lot, but I know in Maryland, the little town that we used to live in, I think it was, I can't remember, there's always, every restaurant have a missing men's table where they decorated a small table with one flower and with, for people that's missing.
Is that all year long, or is that just during
certain-
Memorial and
I think during Memorial.
Veterans Day celebrations?
During Memorial Day, because Memorial Day holiday is typically people who passed, people who gave.
That's something that we might be able to send out to our members and the restaurants next year for Memorial Day. That's a great idea.
But thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. And thank you all so very much. Your insight and your heartfelt sharing was really appreciated. If anyone has any questions, would like to find out more about the Bridging to Belonging group, the way the Canton Chamber and the township have been working with all of the different communities, you can get a hold of me at the Canton Chamber. This particular series concludes next month on July 18th. 1 o'clock right here, and it's actually going to be a conversation on how we move forward from here. As Anne Marie mentioned, almost 2 years ago, a small group of us, 8 or 9 of us, got together and started to build those bridges between the different communities. We were all different. We all looked different, socioeconomically, skin color, religion, all different things. But by the time we got done with our homework over 8 weeks and our conversations when we met together, my biggest takeaway, and it was echoed by everyone else, is that when you peel back all of that other stuff, we all want the same thing. We want to live in a community where we feel safe, where we can raise our children, where they can get a good education, where we can have jobs that will take care of us and give us the opportunity financially to help give back, where we're seen and see others, and where we feel safe. And so I believe that Canton does a great job of that. And the fact that they have embraced this series and encouraged it going forward is a testament to the way Canton is going to grow in the future. So I invite you to come to join via Zoom for our July 18th event. And if you'd like to be involved in discussions going forward, you can get a hold of myself or reach out to Anne-Marie Graham-Hudak at the Township Supervisor's Office. So that concludes this particular segment of Canton Business Building Bridges, and we look forward to seeing you again in July. Thank you.